Hello everyone.
Southwest Shooters are back with a truly scientific experiment to bring you all.
For your shooting needs.
Yeah,
First of all, we've been away for a while. We've been working on different projects, but we're coming back now with a vengeance, and we've frankly got some rather amazing things planned to show you, and we can't wait to share it.
true that.
Ian, sorry, excuse me, that's very rude, Professor Ballinger. I'm awfully sorry. But what are we talking about today?
Right, so what we've got, these test Diablo pellets for the princely sum of £12. You can get 7 different pellets to try in your gun to truly test what is the best pellet to use for the range and the conditions that you're regularly shooting in.
Most importantly, the gun.
Yeah, so whatever you're using, wherever you're using it, the pellets will make a huge difference, which we're about to see in the experiment that we've just conducted. Basically, it was very interesting, and because Chris and I were both shooting in the same conditions with the same gun and the same pellets, we were using 5 pellets per each of the 7
varieties that they offer.
Yeah, and we set up 7 targets, and we're going to take you through the results now. So stick around.
And what I think we should do just before we take to the results themselves, the gun we were using today was Professor Ballinger's Walther Rotex RM8. We used the suppressor, the moderator on the front, and as Ian said, I shot 5, then Ian shot 5, and we did it for every single one of the 7 pellets that are in there. And before we go to the results, we want to show to you that we actually listen to what you say, right? So a number of people were asking me in the in the last video to compare
the Southwest Shooter, isn't it?
Different weights of pellet. So that's what we're going to be able to do, because there's different varieties in there. We can test the different grains. We can see how it goes. Shall we show them the results?
Yes, it's also important to note with the results that we didn't zero in. So we were just going for the center of the target in each of the examples to purely test the grouping. So with zeroing in, then you can move any grouping wherever, but it was the grouping that we were specifically looking at, and also interesting to note the pellets that were more likely to contain flyers. So let's have a look.
Cool, let's do it. All right, so the first pellet that we have here, Ian, and I'll flash this up on screen as well,
is number 1.
It's number 1. So talk to me, what are your first thoughts?
Well, a decent start, I thought. What was the weight of the first one? Let's give the deets, come on.
So it's the Diablo Exact 4.50 millimeters, 8.44 grain.
And where does that rate as, the size and weights across the 7 pellets that we're testing?
So it is normal in terms of the weight, but the thing is, being 4.5 millimeter, it is smaller.
Smaller?
It has a smaller diameter than what we're used to shooting.
Now, okay, let's first, in the interests of science and honesty, understand the difference between a bad shot, which happens, and a flyer, which happens. So I will know on my rack, the bottom rack, which were flyers and which were bad shots. And are you aware on yours?
Well, I can see which ones are flyers. So I think on this one in particular, I do have some flyers. I have 2 flyers, so but that could be bad shooting.
It's fair to say generally what we observed was that the smaller pellets, you were more prone to flyers.
The lighter pellets, do you mean?
Do I mean lighter or do I mean smaller?
You tell me. I mean, like we'll move on. Let's first of all, I just want to talk about like comparing.
Yeah, well, I mean,
our 2.
I fared better, so I escaped without any flyers. And you're not guaranteed a flyer, it's just you're more likely to get them with certain pellets, is what we're observing.
But I mean, your grouping
it's tidy.
It's good. It's okay. Yeah. My one is not. So I guess what I would say is, for me at least, I would discount pellet number 1. But for you, you might want to keep it in contention.
Well, no, because if it's more like, and this is the benefit of doing a longer experiment with effectively 10 shots per pellet, then we get to see these things. 2, that fared far better for both of us, with 2 pretty decent groupings. One of mine got away.
And pellet 2 is the same one, but it's just 0.01 of a millimeter larger. So it's the Diablo Exact 4.51 millimeters, 8.44 grain. So it's made it slightly bigger skirt size. And to me, I would say that for both of us, well, for me, it's a better grouping. For you,
It's a good result, isn't it?
it's a good result.
Yeah.
And if we move on to pellet number 3,
I mean, let's not forget we're shooting outside from 30 meters, so it's not like it will always be pellet on pellet for 5 shots.
No.
So some of those things are just variations in the fact that I'm not that good, and you know that's it. It's not going to be. If it was pellet on pellet every time, I
it
wouldn't.
wouldn't be any fun either, would it?
No,
Not really.
it's got to be a bit shit, I think.
But let's look at number 3. So number 3 is this is a regular pellet. We featured this many times before. It's the 8.44 grain 4.52. Now, if I'm ordering pellets from a shop, it will always be, historically at least, this pellet, because it seems to be an all-round good pellet for all the guns.
And you can see your grouping's absolutely lovely, and mine are just, again, a couple that got away.
But just ever so slightly, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it's there or thereabouts, but it was just not exacting from my side. So I think, again, another solid effort, like Pellet 2. Really good pellet, really good for the gun from this range. And it's good, it's good that that's our regular choice, because it shows that we're choosing a good pellet for the gun, because that's a decent result, definitely.
Now, pellet number 4 is interesting.
Pellet number 4
is the Diablo RS. So this is the lightest pellet. This is 7.33 grain. And you can actually see when you get them out of the packet that these actually feel smaller in your hand. And my grouping is not good for this pellet at all. Whilst yours is, but you clearly have a massive flyer.
Yeah, the first shot was a huge flyer, which was a great shame because the other 4 were bang on, and I was very pleased with that, especially 3 of them right on top of each other. So I was pleased with that, other than the flyer, which it had the chance to be a really tight grouping of 5. So interesting that was the lightest one, but again, flyer thrown in there with the 10 shots that we had,
and just mine weren't too good. Now, this is number 5, and this is where, for me, this gets interesting. Now, again, this was kind of in response to some of the suggestions that people have made about using a heavier pellet. So pellet 5 is the Diablo Exact Monster, right? This is the heaviest grain pellet that they have in this pack, and it's 13.43 grain. Now, for me, that's one of the, bearing in mind I haven't shot for a long time, I'm very happy with both of the groups from both of us, Ian.
Yeah, I just had one that got away. Other than that, it was 4 nicely together. You had all 5 nicely together, and interesting, because you thought that it was, we'd avoided those pellets. We just hadn't used them.
No,
they've been deemed as too big, too monstrous, but in actual fact, come out beautifully. No sense of a flyer, just 2 good groupings.
That leads us on to pellet number 6.
I think 6, fair to say, the worst for both of us.
Yeah, it's interesting. So pellet number 6 is the Diablo Exact Express 7.87. So it's the midway between the lightest one and the regular one, the 8.44. And I think it's fairly safe to say that even if you discount the flyers, which we both have, at least one, the spread is the Elphick Ballinger coefficient is too big on these ones.
Poor.
So I would just discount it. I would say that this gun does not like these at all.
And you understand when we say we discount it, we mean for this gun in these conditions, and that's what the experiment is about, finding the best gun for the equipment that we're using in the conditions which we're using said equipment, and which brings us on nicely to what I believe is fair to say is, on today's experiment, the best pellet for this gun in these conditions, because 2 of the tightest groupings, certainly my tightest grouping, Chris had 4 beautiful groupings, and this was one of those 4.
No, but dude, your number 7 there, that is
tight,
very tight. So just for the sake of completeness, this is the Diablo Exact Heavy 4.52, and it's the 10.34 grain. So it's the second heaviest pellet in the selection that they offer in this JSB tin. And Ian, that is a lovely, lovely grouping you've got there. But also, I mean, yours is tighter than my one, but they're both very good. So for me, now we've had a chance to look at this and talk about each one. I would say that pellets 5 and 7 are the best for this gun.
5 and 7, yeah, I would agree, and they're the heaviest and the second heaviest pellets, which I will repeat myself for the RM8 from 30 meters, shooting from where we shoot here in Devon in today's conditions. The heaviest and second heaviest pellets have come out on top.
So I think that if we were to one other thing that's interesting, if we look at number 7, and I'm going to be flashing these all on the screen as we go along,
Like magic.
but you can see, Ian, and we've never seen this before. For the grouping is almost identical for both of our shots.
Yeah.
Both of the groupings. So it's to the
left.
left.
This was the thing, you know, when I mentioned in the intro about we didn't zero in, we were aiming at the I was just aiming at the center so we could test the groupings. You can see on 5 we're both low and left. You're a bit more left, but we're both low and left. On 7 we're both pretty identically left. And you can see with the pellets in the same conditions that without zeroing in, we end up with a similar smattering. 2 we're both a bit left. You know, it's consistent, which is good. That's good to see.
So I guess the question is, I think as well, right? So I think that this number 7 one, I think I've got at least half a tin inside. Which, do you know where I'm going with this?
And we're going to have a good eye sniper challenge.
I'm issuing a good eye sniper challenge.
Excellent.
So, would you like some time to think about what the challenge will be? Because you have one good eye sniper.
No, well, let's just end this. I just want to end by concluding the best £12 that you could spend is investing in one of these and really understanding how your gun performs in a scientific method to test in the conditions that you use your gun what the best weight of pellet and size of pellet is. £12. Do that. Let us know how you get on. We want to hear about it. And of course, if you have any other suggestions for content that you would like us to do, comments, like, share, booyah, all that good jazz.
Right. That's going to be good.
We love you.